You know, Keith. How you say? Hey, hey, nice to meet you. Chad. Emily,
Hey, how are you?
doing great. How are you?
The Monster Energy at 7 p.m.
Yeah, it's that kind of day. Daughter decided 2 a.m. was the time to wake up last night.
We are now live streaming.
Could have called me. I woke up at 2:30 for no reason. Everybody went back
My
to
husband was texting me just
drinking coffee at 5 o'clock.
now. Oh, that's nice.
She'll be fine with it. That's
Right.
She gets a nice surprise.
Yeah.
Not a bad one.
Let's surprise her.
Call the meeting to order. Good evening, welcome to the August meeting of the Town of Lancaster Zoning Board of Appeals. I ask that you please stand and face the flag for the pledge. Thank you, Mr. Aronova. Would you please take roll call?
Mr. Hain.
Here.
Ms. Monticelli. Mr. Storr.
Here.
Ms. Dudley.
Here.
Mr. Tillmans.
Here.
Mr. Zeller.
Here.
Chairman Michaely.
Here. Okay, we have three items on the agenda tonight, 3 variance petitions. They will be heard in the following order: 21 Hidden Meadow Crossing, 3800 Bowen Road, and 206A Peppermint Road. Our town clerk will read the legal notice for each petition, and we ask that as your legal notice is read, that you please approach the podium up front and give us your name and address. Would you please read the first legal notice?
The petition of Jason and Jamie Bloom, 21 Hidden Meadow Crossing, Lancaster, New York, for one variance for the purpose of constructing a pool deck on premises owned by the petitioner at 21 Hidden Meadow Crossing, Lancaster, New York, to wit: a variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning section 14 subsection D Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a pool deck 8 feet from the primary structure. Chapter 400 zoning section 14 subsection D Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a minimum location of 10 feet from another structure. The petitioner therefore requests a 2-foot variance.
Hi, your name and address, please?
Jason Bloom, 21 Hidden Meadow Crossing.
Thank you, Mr. Bloom. If you could just tell us a little bit about your project?
Yes, we want to construct, I believe it's a 5x6 pool deck off our pool. And the way we have to orient the pool, the deck itself, the stairs will fall within the 10 feet required. So that's why we're asking for the variance, because of the way the angle of the stairs have to be going towards the structure of the house.
Sure. Okay. At this point, we go to the board to see if there are any questions. Questions?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sandra, any questions? Does anyone in the audience have any questions or anything to say about this petition? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion. Something in a second.
I have to make it.
But, okay. Whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Town of Lancaster has made the following findings: that no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by granting the area variance relief sought, that no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting the area variance relief sought, that the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance relief sought, that the requested variance is not substantial, that the proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect on the physical or environmental condition of the neighborhood or district, that the alleged difficulty is self-created, but not to the extent necessary to preclude granting of the area variance relief sought, that this board has taken into consideration the benefit of the applicants if the variance relief sought is granted as weighted against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant, that within the intended purposes of this ordinance, that the variance relief sought, if granted, is the minimum variance necessary to afford relief.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Storr, second by Ms. Dudley. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain.
Yes.
Mr. Storr.
Yes.
Ms. Dudley.
Yes.
Mr. Tillmans.
Yes.
Mr. Michaely.
Yes.
Mr. Zeller.
Yes.
Your variance has been approved. Please make sure to stop in at the building department before starting any work.
Thank you very much. Have a nice night.
Thank you, sir. Second item on the agenda tonight, 3800 Bowen Road. Please hear the legal notice.
Second case considered by the zoning board of appeals is that of the petition of Donald Giuliano, 3800 Bowen Road, Lancaster, New York, for 2 variances for the purpose of constructing a residential accessory structure on premises owned by the petitioner at 3800 Bowen Road, Lancaster, New York, to wit: A, a variance in the requirements for Chapter 400 zoning Section 14, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a 3,120 square foot residential accessory structure. Chapter 400 zoning Section 14, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a maximum size of an accessory structure to be 750 square feet. The petitioner therefore requests a 2,370 square foot variance. B, a variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning Section 14, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a 20-foot, 8-inch tall residential accessory structure. Chapter 400 zoning Section 14, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a maximum building height of an accessory of 16 feet. The petitioner therefore requests a 4-foot, 8-inch variance.
Hi, please tell us your name and address, please.
Donald Giuliano, 3800 Bowen Road, Lancaster.
Thank you. Mr. Giuliano, please tell us a little something about your project.
I'm hoping to erect a bigger garage. On July 4th of this year, we had a tragedy. The garage, the previous structure, had burned. It was a total loss. And I have a 2-family house where we both use the garage, and I was hoping to go bigger to accommodate it.
Okay. All right. Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I feel that the property there, it's not going to impose any burden to the neighbors. I've had a pretty big lot for years. It's almost 2.5 acres. Where I would be erecting it would be far enough away from the road, far enough away from the neighbor's property, and we border Como Park where it really won't impact anybody.
Yeah, got it. Good. And Chief, Mr. Giuliano had called to give us a kind of a heads up, knowing that there could be some members of the zoning board coming to visit his property that he has.
No problem. That was my biggest fear when I found out. I have no problem. I will walk any one of you through it, but just a heads up because of the dogs.
So he called to warn me, he's got an invisible fence with 3 dogs?
Yes.
3 dogs. Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions from the board?
No questions, but I do have a comment. I appreciate that you attach pictures of the proposed building, letters from neighbors. It's clear that you've done your homework and everything that you have. I appreciate that you made our job very easy. Thank you, sir.
No problem. Thank you.
I should have pointed that out as well. We do have, I believe, letters from 3.
I was trying to provide a picture of what I'm going for that would match the color scheme of it would blend in with the house and the current surroundings, so it's not an eyesore when I erect this building.
Good. Shane, anything?
No questions.
Will there be any commercial usage?
No, ma'am.
Anyone else? No questions? I have no questions either, just to commend you for doing it so quickly, that you had a fire about 6 weeks or so ago. Do we have any questions or comments from anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this matter? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Town of Lancaster has made the following findings: that no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by granting of the area variance relief sought, that no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought, that the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicants to pursue, be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicants to pursue other than the area variance relief sought, that the requested area variance relief is substantial, that the proposed area variance relief will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, that the alleged difficulty is self-created, but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought. That this board has taken into consideration the benefit to the applicants if the variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. That within the intent and purposes of this ordinance, the variance relief sought, if granted, is the minimum variance necessary to afford relief.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion by Ms. Dudley, second by Mr. Storer. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hain.
Yes.
Mr. Storer.
Yes.
Ms. Dudley.
Yes.
Mr. Tillmans.
Yes.
Mr. Zelik.
Yes.
Chairman Michaely.
Yes. Your variance has been approved. Thank you. Please make sure to stop in with the building department before starting any work.
Why, thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Next is 206A Peppermint Road. You could give the legal notice, please.
The third case considered by the Zoning Board of Appeals is that of the petition of Thomas Bolander, 206A Peppermint Road, Lancaster, New York, for 3 variances for the purpose of constructing a residential accessory structure on premises owned by the petitioner at 206A Peppermint Road, Lancaster, New York, to wit: A variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning Section 13, subsection C, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a residential accessory structure 22 feet 8 inches tall. Chapter 400 zoning Section 13, subsection C, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a maximum building height for any accessory structure of 16 feet. The petitioner therefore requests a 6-foot 8-inch variance. B, a variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning Section 13, subsection C, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a residential accessory structure 7 feet 6 inches from the side property line. Excuse me. Chapter 400 zoning Section 13, subsection C, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a minimum building location of 15 feet from the side lot line. The petitioner therefore requests a 7-foot 6-inch variance. C, a variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning Section 13, subsection C, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a residential accessory structure of 2,016 square feet. Chapter 400 zoning Section 13, subsection C, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a maximum building size for any accessory structure of 1,250 square feet. The petitioner therefore requests a 766 square foot variance.
Hi, please give us your name and address for the record.
Tom Bolander, 206A Peppermint Road.
Thank you. Please tell us something about your project.
Nothing fancy really, just a toy box for my toys. 32 by 48 pole barn with a 10-foot, like a shed roof on the side for parking miscellaneous stuff under. Where I am on Peppermint Road, it's very rural. I bought 88 acres behind me, between me and the golf course. So I have tractors to buy and toys they have to maintain the property, and
Sure.
I just want to keep everything inside with this weather we have. I'd like to have a space I could heat up for working on dirt bikes and four-wheelers and all the stuff that goes along with property, really.
But
My wife would call it a toy box. I call it a man cave, but we'll just call it the garage today.
okay. Anything else to add?
I've spoken to all the neighbors involved. I am my own biggest neighbor, owning to the west and the north. Everybody within the 100 feet I've spoken to, they've all expressed no interest at all. They're all.
And you also, so one of your variances is for the distance from the side property, but I've noticed you do own that property, right?
I do.
You own the one that would be most impacted by this.
Yep.
Okay, it's worth pointing out.
If I know my drawings are very limited. I brought photos and I took an aerial shot and I drew in fairly closely to where it would be on the property. If anybody wants to get a better look at it, I didn't make 7
You can
copies.
pass that around if you would.
This is, the second one is a view from the street. The location of the building would be behind the first row of brush to keep it as unsightly as sightly as possible. It's going to be back behind the trees, basically.
Okay.
And I shifted it all the way to the left, closest to my side, away from the other neighbor, just to be polite, really.
Right.
I didn't think to send it with the application like he did. That was a good move.
So where, according, so on here, it would be,
Yeah, can I?
yeah, sure,
Yeah,
please.
sorry, it's in pencil. It's, the property line is written in pencil, and I colored in where the building would actually go.
Okay.
The photo was taken from here, looking back this way,
Got it.
and I own everything up to the line here, this way.
Okay. Questions from the board this side of the room first?
So that, you cleared out the land for that already, is that it, or you did some work, or?
When Morano built, this is kind of a long story, so you opened the door, sorry. When Morano, he can attest to this, when they built the 3 houses, they failed to put the appropriate drainage in that they were required to put in as required by the permits. Once we had our lawns and our sprinklers and everything was done, well, there was an astronomical amount of work that still needed to be done across the back. In the photo, you'll see where the row of stone is. That row of stone is about 2% of what was done back there. There's huge, what would you call it? What did you call those? Drainage holding basins, I guess, in plain language. It's stone vaults on the backside of the property that are 15 feet across, 6 feet deep, and 90 feet wide for drainage to go to, for it to leach out and over time so it doesn't flood neighboring properties. Well, Morano put none of this in, none of it. In order for them to get the heavy machinery back there to do what they need to do, I gave them permission to use my side road, which is in the photo, and come in back and forth. But I required them to put a road in to do it. I didn't want them to just blowing the property all to pieces. And that's what you see there, the road coming in. The long road north-south was already there. That's been there for decades. The piece that comes in from the side is what I made them put in so they could get in and out of there to do the work.
Okay,
And then just the flat pad is just where I've been mowing it and keeping it clear,
okay, gotcha,
where the building will actually sit.
okay.
Anything else? Yeah, questions?
Looks like it's about 325 feet off the road, back.
Did I write that on there? It's almost exact.
Looks like it.
Yeah, it's-
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Do you have any intention to sell that side property?
It's my baby. I'm teaching my grandkids how to ride four-wheelers back there.
How much do you have?
The vacant piece is 88. I'm like 1.1 where the house is.
Any other questions? Nothing?
No question.
Any questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none, do we have a motion from the board?
Can make a motion. Whereas the zoning board of appeals of the town of Lancaster has made the following findings: that no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by the granting of the area variance relief sought, that no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought, that the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicants to pursue other than the area variance relief sought, that the requested area variance relief is substantial, that the proposed area variance relief will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, that the alleged difficulty is self-created but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought. This board has taken into consideration the benefit to the applicants. The variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. And within the intent and purposes of this ordinance, the variance relief sought, if granted, is the minimum variance necessary to afford relief. That no commercial enterprise other than those permitted by Chapter 400 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster can be conducted on the premises.
I'll second that. Motion by Mr. Tillman, seconded by me. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain,
Yes.
Mr. Stork,
Yes.
Ms. Dudley,
Yes.
Mr. Tillman,
Yes.
Mr. Zeller,
Yes.
Chairman Michaely.
Yes. The variance has been approved. Please stop in with the buildings department before doing any work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for the order tonight? Anything to discuss?
I did want to ask the board, we were talking, and about emailing your packets rather than picking them up. And then if you would like that, I can always have a copy here at your desk. It's up to you. I mean, we can continue doing what we're doing, It's up to your choice.
Email's fine for me.
I'm good with email.
Email's fine.
I say that, but then I know I've done it before. I say, yeah, I'm an email guy, but then when I look at it, sometimes seeing the stuff is easier. As long as we have a package one, a paper one here too.
I'm sorry?
If we have a paper one, if we get it emailed, but then we have a paper one here when we get here.
That's what I was saying, I'll
Yeah,
have
'cause
paper
unless
one
we
here at
have
your
a.
desk.
Yes, that'd be great,
Then you
absolutely.
won't have to worry about picking it up anymore.
Yeah, absolutely great, sure.
Is it okay for everybody?
Agreed.
Okay. What'll do? I don't have anything else.
Okay. Emily, anything? Matt?
Someone in the audience appears to.
Nothing. Sir?
Yes, my name is Rick Friedman. I own 63 Central Avenue. It's Wild Arts Place. And we've been trying to get the parking lot repaved. And when they put the roundabout in, you had allowed with negotiations, because it didn't seem smart to, after you put the roundabout in, to dig it up to put our parking lot paving in. So during the negotiations, I told them, I said, give us the pipe underneath yours, construction, so we're not digging you up. And then also, we will meet your roads to make it a nice even flow. And then in doing that, I was told I had to put in a sewer, some drainage. So in doing, I thought a little further, let's make it safe. A lot of the public cuts across that parking lot. Well, when the snow melts off the roof, down the gutters, whatever, it all pitches across that parking lot. So I wanted to grab seeing as how I'm putting in this drain, grab the water that's coming off the downspouts, run it under the parking lot into the drain that I have to put, that I agreed I'd put in.
Sure.
Just to make it safer. And that's what we're trying to do at 63 Central. And I guess I'm trying to get the okay to...
So we're a town of Lancaster zoning board of appeals. And we would have no say over what you're looking to do. And I think what you're looking for more so is the village, because that is a village issue. Am I right, Matt?
Okay.
If I can make a recommendation.
Yes.
And we've had extensive discussions with the contractor that was on site. And he simply needs to provide a plan, some documentation of where we know that there's a pipe tapped into the public system.
Right.
And we're gonna basically extend that pipe to a receiver in the parking lot.
Correct.
To accept everything that we discussed, and even the downspout. And all the village is looking for is a plan to identify where the receiver is gonna go, the size of the receiver, how the downspouts are gonna get connected to the receiver, and basically the topography or the contour of how the parking lot is gonna be paved, so that it's there as a record and reference and direction to the contractor, so he just doesn't arbitrarily pick a space. It's predetermined, pre-reviewed, and pre-approved for tying into a public system.
Okay.
I forget the fellow's name, but anyways, we've had a lot of conversations, Sean, myself, spoken to everybody at Department of Public Works is aware of what's happening there. We just need that documentation so that we can kind of get it in before the snow flies, because we know that's the intent, you know? They were just a little dumbfounded that the equipment showed up, the materials showed up, and there was really no idea what was really happening. We knew something was gonna happen, and there was nothing provided to us on paper.
Okay, so you're looking for some type of a drawing?
Yep.
Where the stuff's gonna go, what's tying into it, how it's gonna tie in.
That's correct. Plan.
Fantastic. This is headway.
Good, we're not the venue that can help you, but I hope you got your answers. So.
It did sound right though, right? I mean, it is safer
Absolutely.
doing it that way. Okay, thank you.
They're waiting for it to get done.
Okay, super. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night. Anyone else? Motion to adjourn? A second.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a good night.